cruise ship worker currently trapped at sea. IAmA. My short bio: I have worked at sea for a few years now, and was unlucky enough to be at sea when all of the Rona started. I have not set foot on land since March 14th. I worked for the cruise company Holland America Line as part of the entertainment team. My ship has been fighting for weeks with the CDC and the US government to let me back into the country, even though I am a US citizen. I'm happy to answer any questions here about what it's like to be at sea for extended periods of time, or what it's like to work at sea in general.
How many hours a day are you awake, and what are you doing to occupy that time? I'm stuck at home, as in my place has rooms, I have a rooftop, I can go out to shop, walk around, etc., and I'm already stir crazy, and I've lost interest in doing anything. What are your good days like, and what are your bad days like? I cannot imagine being stuck in a 200 square foot room.
I sleep around 8 hours a day. I normally wake up with the sunrise. My good days: there are no anxiety attacks, no depressive bouts. My bad days: I cycle through extreme anger and depression over my situation. Most days are in between.
How are the food supplies being handled? Is there enough for an even longer extended stay? Is it rationing, or are deliveries to the ship being made planning to be made?
Ships are taking turns docking and getting supplies. It is hard to convince the government to let us dock, so when a ship can, it takes more supplies than it needs and shares it with the other ships at sea, via small tender boats.
Are you being forced to stay in your rooms all day? Like, are there any disciplinary measures for anyone who decides they had enough? Also, you said you're in a room that has a balcony view. I would assume there aren't enough balcony suites to give out to each crew member, so are some being forced to stay in those interior suites that don't even have a window? Because I would probably go insane if I had to stay 20 hours a day inside that kind of a room with no view of the outside world for several months.
They are calling it self-isolation, with emphasis on the self part, but it's not an option. Some people are stuck in inside cabins, but they are allowed outside every 2 hours on the outside deck in a small group of around 20 people.
Has anyone done something crazy while on the ship so far? Like fights, breaking stuff etc?
Nothing crazy has happened beyond me attempting to leave the ship and having the police called.
I wanna hear that story.
On April 26th, we had flights plans to go home for the Americans. The ship booked me a flight and had transportation arranged. On April 27th, the CDC denied entry to our ship for disembarkation, but still granted permission to dock and get supplies in Los Angeles. The ship told me that we would be arrested if we attempted to leave. On April 28th, CBP came to the ship to do a face-to-face passport check for our American crew. The officials told me that they would not be arresting me, that it's the CDC that has the problem. I went back to my room and packed my bags. I attempted to leave the ship via the gangway with one backpack on and a lawyer's number written on my arm in case I was arrested. I was immediately stopped by security at the gangway. The ship security officer was called, along with the captain and hotel director. The ship security officer began berating me, called me a silly little girl, among other things. The hotel director was much nicer. He's my boss's boss. They both told me that I was ruining things for everyone, that I was being selfish, that I was screwing things up for the entire ship. I requested repeatedly to be turned over to the United States authorities. I told them that a private company cannot continually hold me against my will, and that it is my right to enter my own country. At some point they realized that I was Facebook live streaming it. They both stopped talking to me after that. The security officer told the security guards to detain me with physical force if necessary. The LAPD, the port authorities, and the CBP all ended up being called. I delayed the ship's departure by an hour plus. I didn't do anything but stand peacefully at the gangway and request to be arrested/allowed to enter my home country. Ultimately, the CBP and LAPD refused to arrest me, and I was not willing to assault someone or attempt to rush the gangway in an attempt to get off the ship. The ship sailed off with me against my will, and now I've been transferred to another ship floating around in Mexican waters. Edit. Answers to common questions. Am I being paid? No. Have you filed for unemployment? My internet is not strong enough yet. I'm going to try as soon as I get back on land. Is anyone on board sick? No. Or at least, they have not made any announcements about that. Everyone is getting fever tested twice a day. How's the food? A bit lower than guest quality, but generally good. Here's a picture of dinner. How do you get food? They deliver it to me 3 meals a day. How's the room? It is a 200 square feet cabin to myself. I spend around 20 plus hours a day in here alone. I have a balcony and a double bed. Here's a picture. How much is the internet? It's $10 per gigabyte, and the connection is extremely spotty. It drops out usually every 20 and 30 minutes for me, and takes a few minutes to pick back up again. Even phone calls over WhatsApp are hard to make. Why don't you jump? It is incredibly dangerous to jump overboard a moving ship. If you jump over the side, there is a good chance that the current drags you underneath the ship and into the propellers. If you jump over the back, the water is heavily aerated and you will get sucked under again. If you manage to swim to the top/hold your breath long enough, you will die of dehydration and exposure if you don't make it to land. What happened when you tried to leave the ship? Longer comment here. Edit. The current plan is for me to disembark tomorrow in Los Angeles. However, that was the plan more than a week ago too. I don't have flight details or anything yet. We'll see. EDIT2, I should theoretically be disembarking tomorrow. That being said, I have answered literally hundreds of questions. I am sorry if I missed yours, though I skipped some that were frequent repeats. I will continue answering tonight and tomorrow. Edit 3, it is tomorrow and we are docked in Los Angeles. I still won't believe I am on land until my feet hit the ground. Other crew got as far as getting to the airport, before they were forced to turn back to the ship. If that happens to me, I will riot. Just kidding. GIF Theshapis reading. Edit 4, I am off that damn ship. We docked in Los Angeles and they finally let me off. Thank you all for your well wishes.